What happens when a successful CEO decides to visit his own restaurant, not as the big boss, but as a regular customer? What if, instead of getting the VIP treatment, he witnesses something shocking that changes the way he sees everything? Let's dive into the story of one man's journey to discover the truth about his business, his employees, and himself. The sun was setting over the city, casting long shadows on the streets below. The air was still warm, hinting at the kind of summer evening that made people feel like everything was possible. In the heart of downtown, nestled between busy shops and towering buildings, there was a small restaurant that had become a local favorite. It was called Griff's Kitchen, a place known for its homey atmosphere, delicious food, and a reputation for serving people from all walks of life. But few people knew that Griff's Kitchen was not just any restaurant. It was the pride and joy of Warren Holt, the owner and CEO of several successful businesses, including the popular chain of eateries. Warren was known for his strict yet fair management style, his sharp mind, and the ability to build something from nothing. He wasn't the type of boss to settle behind a desk and let others handle the day-to-day. No, Warren was hands-on, and today he was about to experience something that would shake him to his core. Warren Holt had everything: the expensive suits, the lavish office, the fleet of luxury cars. But what most people didn't see was the way he worked tirelessly to build his empire. He put in long hours, sacrificed his personal life, and kept his focus on one thing: success. But what Warren didn't realize was that in his climb to the top, he had distanced himself from the people who made his businesses run. He hadn't spent much time at Griff's Kitchen in months, and even though the restaurant was thriving, he felt like he was losing touch with what mattered most: the people. One late afternoon, Warren decided it was time for a change. He wanted to reconnect with his customers and employees. He wanted to know what really went on at Griff's Kitchen, not just what the reports showed. So, he put on a plain t-shirt and jeans, grabbed a baseball cap, and decided to visit his own restaurant, without anyone knowing who he was. Warren walked into Griff's Kitchen, blending in with the crowd. The buzz of conversations, the clinking of dishes, and the warm scent of food made him feel like he was in the right place. He smiled to himself, appreciating the effort the team had put into maintaining the cozy, welcoming vibe. It wasn't like the high-end restaurants he usually dined at, but there was something special about it, something real. He sat down at a corner table, away from the main area where the staff worked. The waiter, Ethan, came over to take his order. Ethan was in his mid-20s, tall and slim, with a kind face that hid the exhaustion of long shifts. "Good evening, sir. What can I get for you today?" Ethan asked with a smile. Warren looked up, noting how friendly the young man seemed. "Just water for now," he said, trying to blend in even more. Ethan nodded and walked away to fetch the water. As Warren sat there, taking in the surroundings, he couldn't help but notice the hustle and bustle of the kitchen. The kitchen staff was working fast, plating up dish after dish. Warren could see the chef, Mark, barking orders at his team, moving around with speed and precision. Mark had been with Griff's Kitchen for over 5 years, and he was known for his excellent skills. But there was something about his attitude that rubbed some of the staff the wrong way. Some of the waiters had whispered about him being tough to work with, but Warren had never paid it much attention. Then, the moment came that would change everything. As Warren was watching the staff at work, he noticed something strange. A young server, Jake, walked into the kitchen to deliver an order. He was new to the team, a shy guy who'd been working at the restaurant for only a few weeks. Jake had been trying his best to fit in, but it was clear he was still learning the ropes. Mark, the chef, looked up when Jake entered, and Warren could feel the tension building. It wasn't the usual interaction you'd expect between a chef and a server. Mark's face darkened as he walked toward Jake, his footsteps heavy with authority. "What is this?" Mark snapped, pointing at the plate Jake had just placed on the counter. "You call this presentable? Do you even know what you're doing?" His voice was harsh, cutting through the air like a blade. Jake flinched, looking down at the floor. I thought it was right, chef," he stammered. Thought? You thought? Mark's voice grew louder, his frustration spilling out. Get out of here and let me do it myself. Warren sat in shock, his heart sinking as he watched Jake walk out of the kitchen, his head down. He could see the young man's shoulders slumped in defeat. The scene had played out in less than a minute, but to Warren it felt like a lifetime. Mark had humiliated Jake in front of the entire kitchen, all over something as small as a plate presentation. Warren was furious, but he didn't want to make a scene. He wanted to understand what was really going on. He needed to know how his restaurant was being run behind the scenes. So he sat there, trying to calm his racing thoughts. The next few hours were a blur. Warren ate his meal quietly, his mind preoccupied with what he had just witnessed. As he finished up, he decided to leave, but not before stopping by the kitchen once again. He didn't want to confront Mark just yet. He needed to observe more. He lingered near the kitchen's entrance, watching the staff move around. Mark was still busy, but he seemed calmer now, issuing orders and overseeing the final preparations. Warren's mind was a whirlwind, but he couldn't shake the image of Jake's face, his eyes filled with shame. Then another twist. As the night wound down, Warren overheard something he wasn't expecting. He heard Mark speaking to the head waiter, Terry. I've been doing this for too long to have some rookie screw up everything, Mark said, his voice lower now, almost as if he was speaking to himself. This place used to be a well-oiled machine. Now it's full of kids who don't know what they're doing. Warren's heart clenched. He realized that Mark wasn't just a tough chef. He was a man who had become bitter, resentful, and maybe even scared. But the real truth hit Warren hard when he heard Terry's response. You can't keep treating them like that, Mark. If you do, we're going to lose good people. We can't afford to lose anyone. It was then that Warren understood. Mark wasn't just lashing out because he was stressed. He was lashing out because he didn't feel valued. He felt threatened, like his years of experience didn't matter in a restaurant that was evolving. He was afraid of the changes happening around him. Warren knew that something needed to change. He couldn't let this restaurant fall apart. He had to make things right for his team, for the customers, and for himself. The next day, Warren returned to Griff's kitchen, this time not as a regular customer, but as the owner. The staff had no idea he was the same man who had sat quietly in the corner the night before. He walked straight to the kitchen where Mark was preparing the day's specials. Mark looked up, surprised to see him. Can I help you, sir? Warren smiled. Yes, I'm the owner of this place. Mark's eyes widened in shock. You're the boss? Warren nodded. And I think it's time we had a real conversation about how we treat each other here. The conversation that followed wasn't easy. Mark apologized for his behavior, but it was clear that there was a lot of tension in the air. Warren listened patiently, understanding that changes needed to happen, not just in the way Mark ran the kitchen, but in the way the entire restaurant treated its staff. From that day on, Warren made it his mission to be more involved, not just in the business side, but with the people who made it all work. He realized that true leadership wasn't just about calling the shots. It was about listening, understanding, and making sure everyone felt valued. And so the story of Griff's Kitchen became more than just a tale of a restaurant. It became a lesson in empathy, leadership, and the importance of human connection. It was a reminder that no matter how successful we get, we must never forget the people who help us along the way. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.